Shalom, my Hebrews and Shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. Welcome if you're new, and thank you for coming back if you're an old hand at this. We're going to do our daily bread. I'm having to do it a little bit different according to my work schedule now, so get to look at Old Glory. We've got a pretty good battle ahead of us, not only in the spiritual realm, but also in the physical realm. If you look at my video I made earlier, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, our daily bread is Genesis 29, Mark chapter 1, Psalms 31, and Proverbs 23 we'll be reading today. So, with that said, let's read Bereshit 29 verse 1. It says, And Jacob lifted up his feet, came to the land of the sons of the east, and he looked and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. And all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they would roll the stone from the well's mouth and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. So Jacob said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. He said to them, Do you know Laban, son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, Well. And see, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. And he said, See, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, We are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rahel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to be, when Jacob saw Rahel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice and wept. And when Jacob told Rahel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebekah's son, she ran and told her father. Okay, it's Jacob and Rachel. It came to be that when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these matters. You notice during this time, anytime there's a meeting, how the people get really excited. They run. It says they run to meet them. We have become so cold and calloused in this generation that even our closest friends, our closest family, we get excited to see them, but, we might walk out on the porch as they drive up in the driveway. That's how cold and calloused we have become over time. Verse 14, And Laban said to him, You are indeed my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a new moon. That would be a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know what should be your wages. And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. Now, I don't remember what the King James says in that, but in other words, Leah wasn't all that beautiful. Where Rachel was gorgeous and very appealing to the eye. Verse 18, And Jacob loved Rahel, so he said, Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. And Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are completed. and let me go into her. And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. It came to be in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that, see, it was Leah. So he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? Laban said, It is not done this way in our place, to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years. Pretty good trick there. I mean, he pawned off his older daughter, got 7 years work out of her.
Yeah.
No, he got 7 years of work out of her because of her. And then he says, I'll go ahead and give you Rachel at the end of this week. But you're still going to owe me 7 years of work for her. So altogether, he's going to be a servant for 14 years. Then he's going to have 2 wives. One that he don't necessarily care for, and the other one he loves dearly. We better just read. Get into something. And Jacob did so and completed her week. Then he gave him his daughter Rachel, too, as wife. And Laban gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. And he also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Laban another 7 years. And Yahweh saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. We've got to understand that it is God that gives the increase. Feel me? And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, For Yahweh has looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me. Reuben is the firstborn of one of the 12 tribes of Israel to become. And she conceived again and bore a son, and she said, Because Yahweh has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son. And she called his name Shalom. And she conceived again, bore a son, and said, Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So his name was called Levi. And we know Levi goes on to be the priestly nation of the 12 tribes. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now I praise Yahweh. So he has called his name Yehudah. And she ceased bearing. Man, if we don't just read, I'm going to go off on a sermon here. Go back and study that whole chapter. Look at the 4 sons and how that plays out, especially with Judah being the 4th son, and what that number represents. Let's go to Psalms. Number 31. Psalm 31, verse 1 says, In you, O Yahweh, I have taken refuge. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in your righteousness and incline your ear to me. Deliver me speedily and be a rock of refuge to me, a house of defense to save me. For you are my rock and my stronghold. For your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Can we say that today? Seriously? I mean, can we get our spirit where Yahweh will lead us and guide us? And we know that no matter what happens, he's our rock and our refuge of strength. If we ain't there yet, we better get there. Bring me out of the net which they have hidden for me, for you are my stronghold. Into your hand I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Yahweh, El of truth. That was weird. I have hated those who observe lying vanities, but I trust in Yahweh. If we would just look around and pay attention to the people around us, we would see the lying vanities that are all around us, and that our trust can be, should be, and is only in Yahweh. I exult and rejoice in your loving commitment, for you have seen my affliction. You have known the distress of my life. You have not shut me up into the hand of the enemy, and you have set my feet in a large place. Show me favor, O Yahweh, for I am in distress. My being, and my body have become old with grief. For my life is consumed in sorrow, and my years in sighing. My strength fails because of my crookedness, and my bones have become old. I am a reproach among all my adversaries, but most of all among my neighbors, and the dread to my friends. Those who see me outside flee from me, and I have been forgotten like someone dead from the heart. I have been like a missing vessel, for I hear the evil report of many. Fear is from all around. When they take counsel together against me, they plot to take away my life. But I have put my trust in you, O Yahweh. I have said, you are my Elohim. My times are in your hand. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies, and from those who pursue me. I'll go back and look in 2 Samuel, when David is faced with the 3 ultimatums because of his sin. One of those was that your enemies would kill you for 30 days. One of those was famine. And David had to pick, knowing that either one, anything he picked was going to mean the death of many of his people. But regardless, he had to pick something because he had sinned. And so he chose the 3rd option of the angels destroying the Israelites for 3 days. If something's going to take me, I want it to be Yahweh. I want Yahweh to be, I don't want my enemies to get me. I want Yahweh. If I must die, I must die according to Yahweh. And there's a lot of significance to that. Because 3 years of pestilence and disease, 3 years is a long time, but that's not, it's not too bad. You might be able to have a hand in keeping yourself alive in that 3 years. But 3 days of God's warrior angels coming down upon you and slaying you, that's all God, baby. Verse 16, make your face shine upon your servant. Save me in your loving commitment. Do not let me be ashamed, O Yahweh, for I have called upon you. Let the wrong be ashamed. Let them be silenced in Sheol. Let the lips of falsehood be stilled, which speak recklessly against the righteous, with pride and scorn. How great is your goodness, which you have laid up for those fearing you, which you have prepared for those taking refuge in you. In the sight of the sons of men, in the secrecy of your presence, you shall hide them from the plots of man. You shelter them in the booth from the strife of tongues. Blessed be Yahweh, for he has made marvelous his loving commitment to me in this strong city. And I have said in my haste, I am cut off from before your eyes. Yet you heard the voice of my prayers when I cried out to you. Love Yahweh, all you, his loving committed ones. Read it again. Love Yahweh, all you, his loving committed ones. For Yahweh guards the trustworthy ones and exceedingly repays the doer of the pride. Be strong and let him fortify your heart. All you who are waiting for Yahweh. Are we waiting for Yahweh? Or have we done decided in our hearts he's not coming? I'm not real sure this is right. Or are you diligently waiting for Yahweh? I ask these questions. Those are the questions I have to ask myself. If I ask myself those questions, it's plausible that you need to ask yourself those questions. Let's get to Proverbs 23. Slow down. Be one of them long ones. Just a second. All right. Mishle 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, look well what is before you, and put a knife to your throat. If you are a man given to appetite, do not desire his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Do not labor to be rich. Cease from your own understanding, and do you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle to the heavens. Do not eat the bread of one having an evil eye, nor desire his delicacies. For as he reckons in his life, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You vomit the peace you have eaten, and lose your sweet words. Do not speak in the ears of a fool, for he treads on the wisdom of your words. Here we go again. Do not remove the ancient boundary, and do not enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong, and he shall plead their cause against you. Bring your heart to discipline, and your ears to the words of knowledge. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with the rod, he does not die. Strike him with the rod, and deliver his being from Sheol. My son, if your heart shall be wise, my heart rejoices, even I, and my kidneys exult. When your lips speak what is straight, do not let your heart envy sinners, but be in the fear of Yahweh all day long. For certain there is a hereafter, and let your expectancy not be cut off. Hear, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Be not among heavy drinkers of wine, or with gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunken and the glutton become poor, and slumber puts rags on a man. Listen to your father who brought you forth, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy the truth and sell it not. Wisdom and discipline and understanding. The father of the righteous greatly rejoices, and he who brings forth a wise one delights in him. Let your father and your mother rejoice, and let her who bore you exult. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes watch my ways. For a whore is a deep pit, and a strange woman a narrow well. She too lies in wait as for prey, and increases the treacherous among men. The whore is this false church, this false religious system that is plaguing Yahweh's people. And you know which ones I'm talking about. Verse 29. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has complaints? Who feels hurt without a cause? And who has the redness of eyes? Those staying long at the wine, those going in to search out mixed wine? Do not look on the wine when it's red, when it gives its color in the cup, as it flows smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and stings like an adder. Your eyes look on strange women, and your heart speaks perversities. You shall be as one lying down in the midst of the sea, and as one lying at the top of the mast, saying, They struck me, I was not sick. They beat me, I do not know. When shall I wake up? Let me seek it again. This all correlates with our time, you know. And guess what? It correlated with our father's time and our grandfather's time too. It's the living word of Yahweh. All right. We are at Mark, new book in the New Testament. Mark chapter 1. Verse 1 says, In the beginning of the good news of Yeshua Messiah, the Son of Elohim, as it has been written in the prophets. This comes from Malachi 3:1. See, I send my messenger before your face, who shall prepare your way before you. A voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh and make his path straight. Yohanan came immersing in the wilderness. Yohanan's John, if you're new here. I read from the Scriptures Bible. Similar to King James, we just don't step on the names. We don't step on a lot of the translation into English here. Anyway, Yohanan came immersing in the wilderness and proclaiming an immersion of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. One simple message: repent. Quit living for yourself and live for God. And all the country of Yehuda and those of Jerusalem went out to him and were all immersed by him in the Jordan River, confessing their sins. That's the Jordan. And Yohanan was clothed with camel's hair and leather girdle around his waist, and eating locusts and wild honey. Good. Sounds like a good diet, huh? But not here in America. We complaining because don't have enough toilet paper. And Yohanan was clothed with camel's hair and a leather girdle around his waist, and eating locusts and wild honey. Camel's hair is pretty itchy. A leather girdle. This dude must have been quite the sight up there. And he proclaimed, saying, "After me comes one who is mightier than I, whose sandal strap I'm not even worthy to stoop down and loosen. I indeed did immerse you in water, but he shall immerse you in the Holy Spirit." It came to be in those days that Yeshua came from Nazareth of Galilee and was immersed by Yohanan in the Jordan. And immediately coming up from the water, he saw the heavens being torn open and the Spirit coming down on him like a dove. It's not a dove, but it's like a dove. And a voice came out of the heavens, "You are my Son, the beloved, in whom I did delight." And immediately the Spirit drove him to the wilderness. And he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tried by Satan, and was with the wild beasts, and the messengers attended him, angels. And after Yohanan was delivered up, Yeshua came to Galilee, proclaiming the good news of the reign of Elohim, and saying, "This time has been filled, and the reign of Elohim has come near. Repent, and believe in the good news." Now, Mark is one of those gospels that a lot of people will see there's a contradiction. And look at that. Mark's just one of those dudes, he just hits the high points and he's cruising on, he's just giving it like it is. Where the other gospels, especially in this account, they go into greater detail of things. Mark, it's just, hey, you know what? America's under siege. America's got tyrants. God's in control. Next. Verse 16, walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw Shimon and Andrew, his brother, casting a net to the sea, for they were fishermen. This is Simon, Peter, and Andrew. And Yeshua said to them, "Come, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. Immediately. Now I'm going to pray about it. Now I'm going to think about it. Now I got to go sell my boat, sell my house, tell my wife, get my kids around it. They immediately left and followed Yeshua. Now, am I saying quit your job and run off and act silly? Absolutely not. I'm saying that immediately when we come to Christ, we need to begin changing our lives like that. Now, that's the Holy Spirit. We're going to do it, but we can rebel against that. And having gone on a little from there, he saw Jacob, the son of Zebedee, and Yohanan, his brother, and they were in the boat mending their nets. Right. This is Jacob and John. Oh, James and John. King James kind of didn't like Jacob's name, so just give it James. James is Jacob. And immediately called them, and leaving their fathers, Zebedee, in the boat with the hired servants, they went after him. Again, Jesus calls, they haul. And they went to Capernaum. And immediately on the Sabbath he went into the congregation and taught. And they were astonished at his teachings, for he was teaching them as possessing authority and not as the scribes. And there was a man in the congregation with an unclean spirit. And he cried out, saying, what have we to do with you, Yeshua of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the set-apart one of Elohim. The demons recognize Christ, but yet we can't. Yeshua rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And throwing him into convulsions, the unclean spirit called out with a loud voice and came out. And they were all amazed as to reason among themselves, saying, "What is this fresh teaching? What authority he commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." And news about him immediately spread into all the country around Galilee. And coming out of the congregation, they went straight to the house of Shimon and Andre and Jacob and Johanan. And the mother-in-law of Shimon lay sick with inflammation, and immediately they spoke to him about her. And having come, he took her by the hand, lifted her up, and immediately the inflammation left her, and she served him. And when evening came, when the sun had set, they brought to him all who were sick and those who were demon-possessed. And the entire city had gathered at the door. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases, and cast out many demons, and was not allowing the demons to speak, because they knew him. And having risen very early in the morning, while still dark, he went out. And he went away to a lonely place, and there he prayed. And Simon, or Shimon, and those who were with him searched for him. And when they found him, they said to him, "All are seeking you." He said to them, "Well, let us go into the neighboring towns, so that I proclaim there also, because for this I have come forth." And he was proclaiming in their congregations in Galilee, and casting out demons. And a leper came to him, calling upon him, kneeling down to him, and saying, "If you desire, you are able to make me clean." And Yeshua, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand and touched him, and said, "I desire it. Be cleansed." And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was cleansed. Immediately. Every time there's anything to do with Jesus, it's immediate. You know, I got so frustrated with that Kenneth Copeland here 2 weeks ago. He's decreeing, declaring, and commanding the devil go away, and he's decreeing that COVID-19's done. We have stomped it in the ground. I declare by Jesus Christ. Still here, Kenneth Copeland. You know, all those who follow that wickedness and that false deceiver, that wicked deceiver, man, y'all need to wake up. Hang on just a minute. Yes, ma'am? Let me get my wife real quick. Tabby? Is somebody here wanting the room? Trying to finish my video, please. Sorry about that. Had a customer. Seems to never fail. When I'm doing a video, people just call me. If I don't do a video, I won't hear from nobody all day long. And he was proclaiming in their congregation in all Galilee and casting demons. And a leper came calling him. I already read that. Verse 41, and Yeshua, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand, touched him, and said to him, "I desire it, be cleansed." And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was cleansed. And having strictly warned him, he immediately sent him away. And he said to him, say none at all to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses ordered as a witness to them. But he went out and began to publish it so much, and he spread the word, that Yeshua was no longer able to openly enter the city, but was outside in lonely places. Yet they came to him from all directions. Those who came to him from all directions are also the same ones that are going to leave him. They're the same ones that are going to holler, "Crucify him." If Jesus doesn't come get you, if Jesus doesn't come and call you, it's all for naught, you know. So anyway, sorry for the interruption. I hope this message blessed you, encouraged you. I hope you that this is getting us on track, that we know that we've got to get into the Word and read the Word daily, daily, daily. And then immediately things will happen. Doesn't mean that you're going to get the house, the car, the girl, the smart dog, and the good children and make straight A's. Your life's probably going to get more complicated. It's going to feel that way anyway. But you'll have Yahweh. So anyway, y'all be blessed and be encouraged. Be frustrated. This is Oilfield Disciple, and I will catch you at the next reading.